Welcome to HoodooTube, your one-stop shop for reviews of fantasy, horror, and supernatural entertainment for the African diaspora. One of my all-time favorite horror remakes is the 2014 retelling of the horror classic Rosemary's Baby starring Zoe Saldana. Rosemary's Baby is a classic horror film from 1968 that gives the viewer a peek into the world of the powerful occult elite. Though I think this miniseries starring Saldana went under most people's radar, this is actually one of my all-time favorite performances from Zoe Saldana. Just like the original film, in this miniseries, Rosemary and her husband Guy are having trouble conceiving a child. But when the couple move to France and are mysteriously connected to a powerful French high society couple, Roman and Margot Castevet, Rosemary begins to question why this couple is giving them lavish gifts and changing their entire social circle. I've watched this miniseries several times, and it's like the more I watch, the more I catch on to the trap that was laid for Rosemary and Guy before they knew they were even being watched and studied. One of the first scenes in the series depicts a heartbroken Rosemary who has just discovered she's had a miscarriage. But in the waiting room, the grieving couple is being watched by a mysterious man with a devil cane. I love rewatching this series because the more I watch it, the more I realize how much of Rosemary and Guy's life was manipulated and orchestrated by the secret French witches to get them connected to the Castevets. I love Zoe Saldana's loving, sweet, and honest portrayal as the kind-hearted Rosemary because I think her good spirit and gentle nature is the very reason she was targeted by the French witches. As Rosemary, an American, adjusts to life in Paris, a robbery and a switched wallet leads her right to Margot Castevet, who thanks her for delivering her wallet to her and invites her to her party in their fancy upscale building, the La Chimère. Rosemary discovers Margot's husband, Roman, actually works in the same university as her husband Guy, and when Rosemary and Guy are welcomed to the lavish party, the young working-class couple are totally embraced by the Castevet's rich and successful friends. The charming Roman immediately establishes a connection with Rosemary's husband Guy, making it clear he wants to guide Guy's career and make him incredibly successful. Another accident, an apartment fire, leads Rosemary and Guy into getting offered a place to stay in the La Chimère, the Castevets building they own, and now Rosemary and Guy are living in the same building as their new French best friends. Rosemary, who still feels like she's adjusting to life in France, gets the sense that her husband Guy and her new friends are pressuring her to get pregnant. And that's when Rosemary discovers that there was another couple, just like her and Guy, who used to live in their apartment, and that the young woman she's actually had dreams about died in that very apartment the year before. Now that I've watched this series a few times, I found it ironic that when Rosemary is confiding in her best friend Julie about her feeling pressured to get pregnant, as well as discovering the past tenants in her apartment, her best friend Julie jokingly asks, "Oh my gosh, did Guy introduce you to swingers?" And Rosemary laughs and says no. But in actuality, he has, and Rosemary just doesn't know it yet. Rosemary finally agrees to try for another baby with Guy, and during the night when they agree to make a baby, Rosemary falls into a trance and has a strange supposed dream of sleeping with Margot, Roman, and a mysterious monster-like character in a group setting as strangers watch the show and take pictures of her making love. When she wakes up, she convinces herself that it was all a dream, even though Guy is now strangely distant from her. But at this point, we the viewer know that Rosemary didn't have a dream, but that Guy drugged her in order for her to have ceremonial sex with the leader of the French witches, someone who looks like Roman, but whose real identity is much more terrifying. In another telling scene, Guy has been experiencing writer's block for months, but after baby night, Guy suddenly has a breakthrough And like magic, he begins to write the most inspired book of his life in just one day. Just like that, Guy is in business meetings with Roman, planning high-end book deals and even future movie projects. When Guy mentions that his muse for the book was Roman, Rosemary jokingly says, "I've been replaced by a man." But I think there's so much truth in that comment. Throughout the film, both Roman and Margot exhibit bisexual swinger vibes. And in one scene, Margot even kisses Rosemary, making the moment awkward for Rosemary. Though we don't see Roman and Guy hook up, I think he had to sleep with Roman as well in order to make his dreams a success. Though Rosemary and Guy enjoy their newfound success, it isn't long before horrifying things begin to happen to them and their friends. Rosemary finds out she's pregnant, and though she's happy, the baby seemingly begins to tear her body apart from the inside. When Rosemary does research into finding out the story of the last tenants of their apartment, she hears terrifying accusations from a local priest that her building is run by murderous Satanists that were behind the last tenant's death. Her best friend Margot seems to be very controlling about the health of her pregnancy, and Rosemary begins to question her entire life when she discovers the woman who died in her apartment the year before was also pregnant. This miniseries is so good, and I think Zoe Saldana's acting was top tier. I truly believed her fear and sadness in discovering her entire world was being controlled, and that even the people closest to her could no longer be trusted. With a lot of today's news, we're seeing stories about the elites, human and even child trafficking, and eugenics. And stories like these, as outlandish as they may seem, may hold more truths about the world we live in than many of us would like to admit.